So this book is called The Mammal Book. I got it from my school. National Breeding Society for Mammals of North America. How to use this guide. Mammal watching, like bird watching, is rewarding pastime that will add much to your enjoyment of any trip outdoors. Mammals are common everywhere, and learning to find and identify them is fun and challenging, whether you are in a national park or in your own backyard. This guide gives full coverage to 80 of the most common and distinctive mammals in North America, from the Arctic into the Mexican border, and from the Atlantic coast to the Pacific. In addition, 30 important mammals are included, including under the heading similar species, raising to 110 the total number of mammals described in this guide. This easy-to-use pocket guide is divided out 3 parts: introductory, essays, illustrated accounts of the mammals and affinities. This section includes 80 color plates arranged visibly by shape, color, and overall appearance. Every major group of mammals, except the whales and dolphins, is represented by at least one species. Opposite each illustration, along with the mammals, English and scientific names is a description of the species' important field marks. Notes on other species with which it might be confused, and descriptions of its habitat and range. For quick reference, a map showing each species' distribution supplements the range statement. A diagram of the species tracks is included when this is helpful in finding or identifying the mammals. An introductory paragraph provides additional information of each mammal's habitat and life history. Following the species accounts, a special section, Guide to Orders and Families, describes the 8 major groups of mammals covered in this book. Remembering the distinguishing features of these broad categories will often help you to identify a species more quickly and easily. And knowing how to find and identify mammals and learning about their habitats will enrich every incursion you make and increase your understanding of the natural world. Most of us know a deer, fox, or mouse when we see one, but each of these is a broad category of mammals that may contain several species. To identify a mammal more precisely, to name its species, you should check a number of features. For some mammals, some of these features may be substitute, but for most, just a brief glimpse is all you need. Whenever you see an unfamiliar mammal, you should know its size, shape, color, and pattern, habitat, and range. Mammals show a great range in size, and it is usually easy to make a rough estimate of how big a mammal is. Comparing the size of an unfamiliar mammal to that of a mouse, cat, or a large dog can be helpful. Deer, seals, and bats have unmistakable similitudes, but other groups such as squirrels and mice are about the same size, but different in the shape of the snout, the length of the tail, and usually the size of their ears. Knowing a mammal shape will help you to narrow it down to a broad category, like rabbits or moles. Then you can pin it down to a particular species, and of course, in many cases, the shape of a mammal will be all you need to identify it to a species. Nothing else looks like a bison, nine-banded armadillo, or porcupine. Color and patterns, skunk, chipmunks, raccoon, and a few other mammals can quickly be recognized by their colors and patterns, but most are clad in soft browns or tans. Any markings are easy to miss if you don't already know what to look for. So when you come across an unfamiliar mammal, make a point of noting and remembering as many details of color and pattern as you can. Reading descriptions in the guide ahead of time will help you to spot important colors and patterns in the field. Where you find a mammal can often help you decide what it is. A mink, for example, is almost always found near water, and a seldom or never climbs trees, but the similar fisher is an expert tree climber and is often found far from ponds or streams. Be sure to check the habitat description so you will know what to expect when you go out looking for mammals. One of the easiest ways to eliminate possibilities when you are trying to identify a mammal is to check its range. And if you are in California, for example, and learn that the mammal you suspect you have seen is only found in the southeast, you can be certain it was something else. Some mammals are easy to find, but most are they're known as secretive. Locating them takes patience and sharp eyes. When you find a mammal, few pleasures are as great as watching it in its natural habitat. You need not be in a remote wilderness to see mammals. State parks and even Siberian areas are excellent places to look, because the animals there have grown accustomed to people and will probably not be as shy or difficult to approach. You may not bring home a long list the way bird watchers do, but what you have seen will be very a bit as exciting. Before you go out looking for mammals, check the habitat descriptions in the guide so you will know which species to expect. To study illustrations of tracks, because your first clue that a particular animal is around will often be a set of tracks on the muddy margin of a pond or in the dry sand beside a road. Although many mammals can be seen in broad daylight, the best times to go out looking are at dusk or dawn, when they are just starting their night activity or heading for home. That is when you are most likely to see a fox bounding across a field or a deer moving slowly along a forest path. After dark is also a good time, especially if you have a flashlight. Keep the beam of the flashlight parallel to your line of sight so you can pick up the reflected eye shine of nocturnal animals. The observations mammals have keen senses, and their ears, noses, and eyes are always on that alert. And when you are in the field, avoid doing anything that will attract attention. And in forest, make sure your shoes don't rustle the dry leaves and your clothing doesn't scrape on branches. If you can hear yourself, the animals can hear you too. Try to walk into the wind so that your scent won't reach an animal before you see it. Mammals also notice motion, so move as little as possible. One of the best ways to see mammals is to find a good spot and then sit down and wait. In the forest, sit near a trail or stream in open country. Use the shelter of a bush or rock and be sure you aren't sheltered against the sun. Before long, the mammals will ignore your silent figure and resume their normal activities. Once you are sitting quietly and have become part of the landscape, you will be surprised at how many mammals you will see and fascinated by what you see them doing. Nearly everything we know about mammals was learned by someone sitting still and watching them. Burlite. This is a fox. I think it's the red fox. Snow bunnies. It says this is a snowshoe hare, perhaps because it is hunted by hawks, owls, foxes, coyotes, weasels, and wolverines, lynx, and bobcats. The snowshoe hare or varying hare is shyer than other hares and spends the daylight hours concealed in a shallow bed of grass or a hollow log. Beginning in March, females raise 2 or 3 litters a year, each litter containing an average of 3 young born with their eyes open, as are all hares. For reasons not fully understood, snowshoe hares' numbers increase steadily for about 10 years and then undergo a dramatic crash. The identification 17, 1.5, 21, a forest-wearing rabbit with large henny feet, all white in winter, dark brown, including feet in summer. Similar species are the cottontail, smaller, brown all year round, feet usually pale. Jackrabbits live openly in the country, inhabit coniferous forests, range Alaska and Canada and South Carolina, California, New Mexico, and the Great Lakes, New Jersey, and the Appalachians to the Carolinas.